This 5,000 kilometre trip took us on a clockwise loop to western New South Wales and north to Central Queensland before heading to the coast of Bowen, and finally we headed south for home. This video will take us from Mundubbera south through Kingaroy and down to our home on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Leaving Mundubbera, we spent a few days at Kingaroy and then headed on to Toowoomba for a great week there and southward again to Stanthorpe. Given the poor weather forecast here, we decided to delay our exploration of this area and head home with quick stops at Casino and Coffs Harbour. We stopped a few days in Kingaroy, which is of course the peanut capital, and the storage silos dominate the town, while peanuts can be bought from a van. Near the silos, some of the history of the town has been retained. They even had an old peanut thrasher there. There is a lookout over the town, and this is quite a steep ramp up to it, but it gives great views over the surrounding area. "55 kilometres southwest of Kingaroy is the Banyan Mountains National Park, and this has many lovely walks, but because of the bad weather we only did the scenic loop to look at a couple of falls. They're very careful here to keep disease out of the park. Now, bunya trees are very big, and thankfully it's not the season for nuts to be falling. Despite the rain, they're still very beautiful. Now, when we were driving back out of the mountains, there were some great lookouts. And of course, the road off the mountain was fun. A few days later, we moved down to Toowoomba and settled into the caravan park there. The city centre has many Art Deco and historical buildings, and we got a guide and a map from the information centre. Now the walk starts from the rather impressive railway station. Across the road is the Irish Club Bar, and as we walk up the hill here, there are many historical buildings. As we came back past the railway station, we entered the historical Russell Street. And if you look above the current ground level shop fronts, we can see great architecture that tells the history of the city. Toowoomba has a beautiful botanical garden, and we just had to take a walk around it. Now this monument was to Alfred Thomas, who was the supervising engineer for when the railway came, and this monument was moved to this site in the 1890s. There's also a 64-pounder muzzle-loading rifle gun moved here from the naval store in Brisbane in 1922. And on the site of the original buildings here is a shelter with several information boards. Then we walked back towards the entrance along this pleasant walk and found a very nice sunken garden. We also discovered that in the gardens at the university there's a wonderful Japanese garden. We thought the Cobb Co Museum might be a bit too commercialised for us, but in fact it ended up being one of the highlights of our whole trip. The two first major exhibits are actually the carriage factory and the blacksmiths. Both are working and teaching the old skills. As we walk through to the Science Centre, we pass some old relics, both from settlers, Cobb Co and native. As always, science centres are fun. And just next to that is a Hornby train display. Gee, this brings back memories from my childhood. Finally, we arrived at the coach display. This has probably got to be the best we've ever seen. I'm told that these coaches were not terribly comfortable and you could get seasick. I remember one of these sitting around on my grandparents' farm. This was a great display and well worth a visit. Now Toowoomba is on the edge of an escarpment, so it was good lookouts over the valleys. Point Parklands has great facilities, lookouts and walks, and we decided to do the parking lot walk along the top of the ridge. Now this was a really nice walk with great lookouts across the valley. Now this seat and lookout gives great views to Tabletop Mountain. And there are a number of storyboards about the battles between the settlers and the Aborigines. It's a very sad story. I leave you to read that when you visit here. We headed back up along the road and followed the path round below the restaurant. I then went down to this man-made waterfall. Then it was back up the steps to look at the waterfall from above. We headed on to Stanthorpe. We wanted to do a lot of bushwalking from here to Kyogle, but the weather forecast wasn't good, and we decided to head home and come back in the spring. Stanthorpe's a really nice town. So we travelled south to Tenterfield and then on to Casino via the Buckner Highway to stay at our favourite caravan park there. But sadly, most of the sites were taken by motorhomes brought in for people who lost their homes in the Lismore floods. Then it was down to Coffs for a quick overnighter. Well, here we are. It's the last morning of the trip. 3 months have almost gone, and we're heading home. So just breaking up camp. Well, fantastic trip. After a trip like this, some analysis is always very useful. So we'll take a look at the distances covered and the costs incurred. Let's talk about these numbers. 4,837 directly, but in fact the ute did a lot more than that. it actually did 7,645 kilometers. Because we did a lot of day trips and a lot of touring around. Fuel cost us $2,373. Now that was a lot higher than we expected because fuel had just jumped dramatically before we left. And the accommodation costs were just over $3,000, with an average caravan park cost of $37. And we did free camp on occasions. And then it cost us another $645 when we visited various attractions like going on the cruise on the Whitsundays and museums. So the total cost was just over $6,000. I decided we should do a bit of a rating of the caravan parks because there was quite a large gap. This is very subjective. So one thing we looked at was site quality. Did it have a slab? Did it have grass? Was it attractive? How were the amenities? Were the showers good? Was the quality of the laundry suitable? And the price we paid. And there appears to be very little correlation between price and quality, to be honest. Each park was given a site rating and the amenities rating out of 10. And the cost of the site against the average cost was also included into the calculation. The three grayed out sites at the top were only $10 per night, so we'll just exclude them. I have not taken the town city size into consideration, and perhaps some changes could be made there. But as I said before, we've found that the price does not reflect the quality of the park. While the higher prices do tend to be lower in our overall value, many also come in low in the site and amenities rankings. This really was a great trip and we really enjoyed it. We can't wait to get back on the road again.